anyway, so this is where he started. This is where the highest position of Bloody Hill is. But they just kind of, when they took the hill, they just kind of, their momentum swept over the top. The Confederates were moving down in the other direction, so their momentum carried them forward to the forward slope, but not all the way down the forward slope. So the Confederates actually had some cover and concealment down the bottom of the hill, more concealment than cover. Okay, so we'll go down this trail on this way to the first gun battery, and we'll talk about that. Right there, there's one. Look at where they're shooting down the hill into the draw. There's another artillery battery on the other side, shooting down the other direction. These are the guys that were taking heck from Pulaski's battery early in the engagement on the left flank of the Union Army, which was in the right flank. And they were catching heck from that Pulaski battery way down on the other side of the field over there, about 3/4 of a mile away, so they were shooting at it. So that's why Union executed that left maneuver through the cornfield. So they got a bunch of good young men killed, but that's the way that battle went. So you can see a battery here, and further down there, almost straight across, you can see another position for where another battery is. Back off, and how my brain is done. Back off battery and
Totten.
Thank you. Totten's battery carried the day, because if his battery had not been positioned here in time with those guns facing down the hill to shoot at these poor fellas, they got within about 20 feet of the battery to storm in the hill, and they almost pushed the Union forces off. So about 20 feet away, that's how close it was. But remember, they were going uphill. It was their third attempt. They were all spent. It was August 10th, over 100 degrees. People are wearing wool and cotton. They're now exposed. If they don't have a hat on, their faces they look like beets, right? Their arms are sunburned if they're red. It's not a tough day to shoot. Tough day to carry on a fight. I wouldn't want to come out here and fight this stuff. I would pick a nice cool day and then infiltrate it at night and slit everybody's throat while they slept, but that's just me. So two field artillery batteries secured this hill, carried the day for the Union forces. Lyons was way the hell down there someplace, putting companies in position. He should have been on his horse back up here and had his adjutant and his runners going down there to tell him, put them down the hill farther, down the hill farther. We want to be further down the hill. So what he does, he's horsing around down there. He gets one mount shot out from underneath him. Then he gets shot where in the hip, and then he had a bullet graze his head, kind of disoriented him, and then the last shot went through his rib cage, through the lungs, and blew his heart out. So he's probably dead right there on the spot. There's a place where they say he died. We don't know how accurate it is. And I'm not going to let you. You don't have to walk down there to see the spot where there's a bunch of rocks that said there's where Lyons died. But this was the most fierce part of the battle. The third charge, and then they said it was a feinting movement. Confederate cavalry came around the Union right side over here, tried to get them. That was a cavalry charge.
I don't think it was a feint.
It was a cavalry charge.
It was an attack. It was a whole regiment of cavalry.
Yeah, a whole regiment of cavalry. You don't do that with a regiment of cavalry, and they're running across open field, uphill, trying to flank the guns. That's not what cavalry does. They provide security on the left, right flank. They do out front to movement to contact, so when they run into something, they can fix it, and your main force can come up and hammer it. Price, not a great tactician, but I mean, he was a hero of the Mexican War after the war ended. It's another story. Just like Price, I don't know how either side did not lose the war. They had such incompetent leaders early in the war that it just blew me away.
The side that made the least mistakes won.
Yeah, the side that made the least most terrible mistakes. And everybody says, well, thank God we had Grant. Well, Grant was just to get there first, but the most guy, he didn't give a damn about his people. He just threw them into the wire. In you go. We're going to take them down. That was Grant. But he got it done. Sherman was, he was a killer. And I think that's it. So if you want to walk down, help yourself. You guys are going to lunch someplace, or a late lunch, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for listening to me, for giving me the opportunity to do this.
Thank you.
I have to go.
And that's Ray House.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Just to the right of that water tower.
Yep. If I gather around just a minute, I want to orient you to where we are on the battlefield. We are right here. This is where was our first stop. The ridge that you see right here, see this big, wide, not a ridge, a spur. That's this big spur here. It goes down, then it goes down into this little draw area right over there. And then that's Bloody Hill, that wooded hill over there. That's Bloody Hill. So in the morning, the Confederates start out on the slope of the hill over here. We start out on the slope of the hill over here. Just on the other side is the road, the tour road that we started on. So they're driven up and over this hill. They come back here. They take up a position on Bloody Hill, and the Federals advance across this field. Then they'll bring up artillery again and drive them to the other side of the Bloody Hill where we just were. We were on the other, when we were that trail where the guns are, that's on the other side of this hill here. When the battle's over, the Union retreats the exact same way they came to leave the battlefield and head back to Springfield. This draw or gulch or little valley down here, whatever you want to call it, it was set up as a field hospital. They started putting people in the short house, and then later the doctors established a tent field hospital here. So you can see why they picked this position. It is on the reverse slope of where the fighting is. It's out of cannon fire range. It's out of musketry or rifle range. So they put it down there to be safe. Additionally, there's probably a spring or some water in there. So they've got water close at hand. So it's a perfect place for a hospital site. So the battle basically begins and ends here. Any questions, comments, ideas? All right.